So this example shows you a case where the point of parity shifts depending on international markets. So this shows you CEE stands for Central Eastern Europe, WE stands for Western Europe, and this is a case about Somalt, which is a dishwashing tablet that Henkel, the German company Henkel, manufactures. And when they were positioning and targeting and selling their product to the Central Eastern European market, they emphasized the cleaning aspect of their tablets, which is their primary benefit. Whereas in the Western European market, they underscored and focused more on the shining aspect of their product, which was more of the secondary benefit. So as you can see here, and there's a reason for this, because in the CE, in the Central European market, Central Eastern European market, dishwashing tablets were still relatively new, and people were kind of unfamiliar with such a product. Not that many people were using such products. Therefore, it was their intent, Henkel's intent, to focus more on the primary benefit, which is washing dishes clean. Whereas in the Western European market, where this product was diffused, a lot of people were already using such products in their kitchens, in their homes. Therefore, they already knew about the cleaning aspect. Therefore, they had to include and underscore and focus the shining aspect, because all other competitors also had shining aspect as one of their key features in their brands. So depending on which market we're positioning, we may have to focus on and underscore different types of benefits that are tailored to that particular market. In terms of PODs, again, POD stands for point of difference, and this is the key thing about positioning. So, because companies want to have many unique PODs that make them stand out in the minds of customers compared to the competition. And broadly defined, there's two elements. POD has to be desirable, so they have to have desirability, and they also have to have deliverability. In terms of desirability, there's three things. They have to be relevant. The POD has to be relevant. If it's something that customers do not value and they think that it's unimportant, then there's no point in developing or possessing a POD if it's something that the customers simply are indifferent or do not care about. Second, it has to be distinct, right? It has to be unique. It has to be different, or else, again, it wouldn't qualify as a POD. Third, it has to be believable. I mean, you have to provide good reasons as to why it is a POD. Next, deliverability. In terms of deliverability, again, there's three elements. The first is feasibility. The firm has to be able to create. They have to have the capacity and the capability to create that POD. And then they have to be able to communicate that convincingly and persuasively to customers so that they'll buy into that POD. And then the third and last is the POD has to be maintainable. It has to be sustainable. If it's something that, in a very short period of time, the competition can copy and imitate, and it has it doesn't have longevity, then the POD loses its deliverability aspect. So it has to be sustainable. Continuing on this PODs, companies achieve PODs typically through three avenues. The first is through brand performance, the second is through brand imagery, and then the third is through consumer insights. So what do we mean by brand performance? Well, companies achieve PODs through, when brands or products are able to just simply perform better. So this is more from a utilitarian perspective. It is more from a functional perspective. So two examples that come to mind would be Duracell, the battery Duracell. I mean, Duracell is able to provide a POD through its longer, performance, that it just lasts longer than, the battery lasts longer than the competition. Or through Head & Shoulders shampoo, dandruff shampoo. That, Head & Shoulder competes on the fact that It has a POD where, if customers use this shampoo, it is able to relieve and, eliminate dandruff. So that's brand performance. Brand imagery is more of the, where it competes and provides differentiation based on feelings, based on emotions, based on the image of a brand. So these are more along the lines of experiential values, experiential differences. So like fragrances or luxury goods or high-end apparel, boutique, high-end fashionable accessories would all fall under this brand imagery, where companies try to develop PODs through brand imagery. Turning to consumer insights, if we look at the next slide, consumer insights are where companies try to develop PODs through educating customers. So again, I like to use the example of Ceylon, which is, again, a brand. It's a brand that it's a fabric softener that Henkel, the German company, manufactures. And when they sell this fabric softener in the Eastern European market, in two different markets, the Czech Republic and in Bulgaria, they try to educate customers on different aspects of this product. In the Czech Republic, they underscore the smell, the fragrance of this fabric softener, whereas in Bulgaria, they emphasize more of the economic benefits of using this fabric softener. And the reason why they educate customers regarding the same product differently in different Eastern European markets is because in the Czech Republic's fabric softener is, again, more well established. People use this more than they do in Bulgaria, so they're more interested in the fragrance aspect, whereas in Bulgaria, it's still relatively new. Therefore, they focus more on how much this costs and more on the economic benefit as opposed to the fragrance aspect of this product. Next, we turn to brand positioning statements, and this is a statement that's used typically internally within a company so that everyone within the company is all on the same page and they know how the company should be positioning their brand. So this brand positioning statement is comprised of 5 different elements. And there's different ways, there's different templates to formulate this brand positioning statement, but what you see on this slide is an example. And it can be written in the following manner. Among target market, X is the brand of the frame of reference that provides this point of difference, POD, because of the following reasons, the reasons to believe. So in this template, in this brand positioning statement, you need to specify the target audience, right? So, who is my target segment that I am targeting regarding my brand? So it's not to everybody, but it's specifically designed towards a target. And then X is the brand, and then here comes the frame of reference, right? So this develops, the boundaries of who we are. Is it a soft drink? Is it a cold medicine? Is it an alcohol beverage? Is it an energy drink? And so forth. That point of difference, that's the POD. So the POD needs to be included in the brand positioning statement. And then you also include the reasons to believe. So what gives the customer to believe that this point of difference is for real? So this slide shows you a POD for the sports drink Gatorade. And let me just read this out to you because it's kind of interesting. So, to active athletes of all ages and performance levels who love to compete and rely heavily on liquid replenishment to stay at their competitive best. So that's the target group. That includes the users and the need. Gatorade, that's the brand name, is the brand of thirst quencher body replenisher. So that sort of statement, it's a thirst quencher, it's a body replenisher, so that sort of molds the competitive frame of reference, right? So it's not a soft drink, it's not necessarily an energy drink per se, but it's a sports drink that replenishes your body and quenches your thirst, that best satisfies thirst and replenishes you so you can keep achieving your personal best. So that's the point of difference. Among many, many PODs that they may have, this in their mind makes the point the clearest, and it differentiates them the most from their competition. Because what comes next is the reason, because it's the only brand endorsed and used by all major U.S. pro sports, the NBA, NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball, and Gatorade's well-known, athletically proven formula. So these two elements provide the reason. So that gives more credence to customers as to why they should believe in this POD. So the next topic is about repositioning. One way to understand repositioning is through this matrix, this 2x2 matrix. And you will see that in this matrix, we have product that can range from changed to unchanged. And then we can have target market, again, ranging from unchanged to changed. And depending on where they meet, we can have image repositioning, we can have market repositioning, we can have total repositioning, and then we can have product repositioning. So let me just pick out a couple of cells here. So total repositioning is when you change the nature of the product, the configuration of the product, the packaging of the product, the ingredients of the product, the design of the product, but you also target it to a different audience. So that would be total repositioning. Whereas market repositioning is when you don't necessarily change the nature of the product, but you do change the target audience, the segment to which you're targeting this brand. So a good example is we talked about Snapple in the previous session, and we talked about Betty Crocker when they both entered Japan. So a lot of the times when companies venture overseas into a totally different market and they fail, it is typically, not always, but in many occasions, it is because they don't necessarily take a total repositioning approach, but they're satisfied and they're comfortable with a market repositioning approach. In other words, they're changing their target market because they're going overseas to a different audience that are bounded by different cultural backgrounds, by different political, social backgrounds, but they don't necessarily tailor and change and alter their products to that market. So, like I said, one of the reasons why a lot of companies, when they go overseas, they fail is because they're stuck at at market repositioning instead of total repositioning. So again, as we saw in the Snapple and the Betty Crocker case, they were mostly in that market repositioning cell in that quadrant, as opposed to total repositioning, where had they changed their product to fit the palate and the usage, how they use their products in the Japanese market, then who knows? Their likelihood of success could have gone up significantly.